Welcome to the show. I'm Danella, and here's what's happening now. We're still observing Mental Health Awareness Month, and this week we're talking about how your phone physically can be leading to your unhappiness. We're not talking about social media here. Actually talking about your actual cell phone. You'll want to stick around for that. Also on deck, we're talking about how the clap is clapping back. Gonorrhea. That's what we're talking about. I mentioned it before in a previous show, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Details on that in just a moment. But first, if you like to bet, did you hear that the Supreme Court this week ruled that each state can determine whether or not they're going to allow actual sporting bets? I know some people are super excited, especially if you love betting. You know, you'd have to go to Las Vegas, I don't know, possibly New Jersey. But now every single state has the right to decide. So first up is Congress. Congress can make a decision. And then also each individual state can decide whether or not they're going to allow you cats to bet on your sporting events. Very interesting. Well, we might as well get into political pop. Here is your political pop for Friday, March 18th. Centoya Brown finally is getting a clemency hearing. You may remember she was arrested when she was 16 years old. She was sentenced to life after killing a man who bought her for sex. She said that the 43-year-old picked her up near a fast food parking lot and drove her back to his house. She also said that she was scared for her life. She saw guns in his home and used one of the guns to shoot him. She says to protect herself. However, the court saw it differently. They said that it was actually robbery that motivated the killing because afterwards she took his wallet. So her case has gotten a lot of publicity since then. There was a documentary that helped shed light on her plight, and in fact many are praying for her freedom. Again, 16 years old, she was forced into prostitution by a pimp. Tragic situation. So it is great to see her get another chance at justice. I'm Danella Sealock, and that was your political pop. Now we have to talk about the clap. I know I've talked about it before, but we have to. I mean, letting you cats know. Here's the tricky part about the clap. So they're saying now that it's becoming incurable, resistant to all antibiotics. One man said this, I couldn't believe this. His name is Mark King. He said he's had the clap so many times that he calls it the applause. It's funny, but it's really not funny. Yeah. Calls it the applause. So the problem is, again, antibiotics can only treat diseases for so long. In fact, Alexander Fleming, he won the 1945 Nobel Prize for actually discovering penicillin. And he said, there is a danger that the ignorant man may easily underdose himself and by exposing his microbes to non-lethal quantities of the drug, make them resistant. He warned us, and it's happening because what they're seeing is so many people will take the medicine and maybe they start to feel better and they stop, thus mutating gonorrhea. And they're seeing this over and over. They're saying every year an estimated 78 million people are infected with gonorrhea. That makes it the second most frequently reported bacterial STI after chlamydia. They're saying one thing that's tricky about it is that a lot of people can get it in their throat and have no symptoms, specifically women. Heads up, if you're listening or watching, heads up. They say that women oftentimes don't exhibit any symptoms. And so you can be a carrier for gonorrhea and spread it without knowing, through oral sex. And I have to talk about this because a lot of people, still out in these streets, not protecting themselves and don't believe in protecting yourselves when you're involved in oral sex. I've actually had conversations where people said, wait, you protect yourself from oral sex? Yes, because a lot of people think, hey, I can just go take some penicillin, it's all good. But they're saying that it's resistant. And guess what? It's resistant in 77 countries. They're seeing, including here in the US, they're seeing cases that are right now untreatable. they're also saying that people are dying. It's also important to note that we don't think about this a lot, but bacterias, they can mutate. So it's only so long that a particular drug may work before that bacteria mutates. So right now, they're working on new drugs. I believe 4 total are in clinical trials to try to treat gonorrhea. And again, this is a world issue. So, guys, you have to wrap it up. Also, speaking of protect yourself, I mentioned this, I think, a couple weeks now. Listen, with this romaine lettuce, they're still seeing E. coli taking lives, making people very, very sick. So until that's taken care of, you have to be careful to avoid romaine lettuce. And let me tell you how sad it is. I physically talk about this on my actual show, and my nephew goes out and buys what? Romaine lettuce. And I'm like, dude, don't you watch the show? Don't you listen? But, we get so used to habits, and romaine is super healthy lettuce. And if you love salads like we do, you kind of are thinking, oh, it's affecting people in California. Maybe I shouldn't worry about it. Oh, it's affecting people of some other state. Listen, seriously, pay attention. All right. Try to avoid it if you can until the coast is clear. Another thing to protect yourself from. Now, before in our world, one more story. So, did you hear about American Airlines? Man, they shutting you cats down. Think about this. I see this all the time. People have these emotional dogs, and they call them service animals, and they're just like little cute dogs, little Yorkies and things like that. And I'm like, is it really your service animal, or do you just want to be able to take your little cute dog to a restaurant and kick it? Well, some people are doing that, and some people are going further than the cute little purse-sized dogs, because American Airlines has officially banned, get this, insects, goats, and hedgehogs as emotional support animals. Seriously. Yes, apparently this is a problem. And so they made it very clear you cannot bring, your insects, goats, or hedgehogs anymore. They're no longer emotional support animals. And also they're making it even harder for folks, because back in the day you could say, oh, this is my emotional support animal, and sign up for the paperwork literally on the flight or in the airport. But now they're saying this, you have to do your paperwork 48 hours in advance before your flight. And this is what they're saying. They say, we support the right of customers, from veterans to people with disabilities, with legitimate needs for a trained service or support animal. Unfortunately, untrained animals can lead to safety issues for our team, our customers, and working dogs on board our aircrafts. You think you don't have to tell people things, but clearly they have to let people know. This is in effect July 1st. So look, if you got your emotional support grasshopper, you have until July 1st to take that little grasshopper on the plane with you, because they're shutting it down as of July 1st. People are crazy. We'll take advantage. All right, now let's get into In Our World. This week, we're talking about how your cell phone can be the key cause to your unhappiness. And I'm not talking about social media here. Of course, we all think about it. Social media will lead to FOMO, fear of missing out. You're on it like, oh, this person's life is so great. Okay, yeah, we're separate from that. We're talking about your actual phone. I saw this and was shocked. The reason it surprised me so much is because I'm actually suffering from this now. But they say this: turn off your phone after 10 p.m. Because if you don't, it can lead to your unhappiness. Scientifically, here's why. Because it throws off your internal clock. They say that when you actually look at your screen, the brightness of your screen triggers your mind to think that it's daytime, thus keeping you up longer at night. And I'm so frustrated in a sense, because my husband, he's reading a book on, like something about sleeping, being a healthy, happy sleeper. I know I should take more interest in all books that he reads, but we read a lot, as you can see. But anyway, so Yeah, he's reading this book. And so anytime I'm in the bed, a lot of times I always check the news late or emails late. And he's like, that's going to keep you up. You should turn down the brightness or turn off your phone. And I'm like, yada, yada, not trying to listening. And then not trying to listen. And then I actually read an article that says the same thing. So I have to share it with you guys because what's happening is when you're not getting quality sleep, they say that it has a direct effect on your overall happiness. And here's what they say. They say that a study involving 91,000 people found that sleep disruption causes depression. It's amazing how important sleep is. Your internal body clock actually helps regulate things such as eating habits and your body temperature. And I think about it a lot. I'm not getting nearly enough sleep. So especially Mental Health Awareness Month, let's change our personal habits to help support a more healthy, happy lifestyle. And put this into perspective. I read this article a couple weeks ago about Katy Perry. She says that she gets on average 8 to 10 hours of sleep every single night. I mean, she also has a personal chef that makes her food, Okay, we're not going that hard. Okay, we're not Katy Perry. But literally, this is a pop star, some would say a pop icon. She tours and she makes sure that she gets, even on tour, she says 8 to 10 hours of sleep to help her be healthier and specifically happier. So I want to throw this out there. Think about how many hours a night of sleep you actually get. Probably not enough. I'm the same way. I stay up really late at night. So to help me try to go to sleep earlier, I am going to try my best to turn my phone off before 10 o'clock. But I'm going to be honest, it's a real struggle. Literally, I read this last night. I think it was about 9:57. And I said, okay, I just made it. I'm not going to turn my phone on anymore after 10. Then I remembered looking at the phone and it was 10:17 because my natural instinct was check your emails before you go to sleep. It's going to be a tough one, especially those who work night shift. I want to give you a warning for anybody that works night shift. I've done it. Oh, it was terrible. Worst job of my life is when I worked overnights. The shift was 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Painful. It was very painful. Luckily, it was short. So I can't imagine the cats that work, for example, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Nurses, truck drivers. I have truck drivers in my family as well as nurses, hard shifts. So they say this long-term night work shift has previously been associated with an increased risk of cancer, heart disease, and obesity. And they're really linking these physical ailments with your sleep. So sleep is very important. So in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, it has been my goal all month long to try to actually offer usable tools in your everyday life to help promote more happiness. So hopefully it's something you can think about and try to implement. I too will be trying. No, I will do it. I'm not even going to say I'm going to try. I will do it. I'm going to put every effort to be successful in turning the phone off. Oh, it's going to be tough, but I'm going to really, really try to change that. One more thing we're doing. I want to tell you guys something funny. My husband may be mad, but I think it's hilarious. And it's good. We're bonding together. So one of the things that we're doing, like I'm on this personal challenge for myself, especially after having my son. I did really well initially. I had him and I wasn't in better shape. I actually was just thinner because of consistent breastfeeding. And that cat was a chunky monkey. So I lost tons and tons of weight. But then once you start weaning your baby off, you're not burning the same amount of calories. So I'm not as healthy or as strong as I used to be. So both him and I have set this goal for ourselves overall just to be healthier as well. So one of the things that he's doing, I'm so proud of him for doing, he's exercising for 100 days straight. That's his thing. For 100 days, I'm going to, do some form of health, exercise activity. I'm like, go get those muscles. And then me too. I mean, y'all cats know I had my baby late. So he's just getting stronger and faster and I'm getting older. So I have to make myself get stronger as well. Specifically how I used to be really strong, but it gets hard. You have a baby, it's hard. Life gets in the way. So here's what's happening. So here's the funny part. So we started looking on YouTube. I had no idea. Shout out to all the YouTube aerobic instructors. They are hilarious. I had no idea about how many activities or exercise programs you could just look online. So one of our favorites right now is the Soka Sweat. Shout out to the Soka Sweat. He's West Indian, but it's like intense. It's only, we're doing a couple of them. There's only like 17 minutes, but it's so funny because, they be whining it out and then he's whining it out. All of a sudden there's a kind of a burpee involved, but then the burpee really transform into kind of a fast whine on the ground. So we literally look crazy. Okay, these women aren't funny, but this other guy, man. Don't tell him. You ain't even gotta tell him. Don't tell him. Don't tell him. Yo, this guy's crazy. He makes the craziest exercise faces to hip hop music. Yeah, I love it. So shout out to all the YouTube trainers. Back in the day, I'm going to date myself. You would have to go to, let's say, a Blockbusters and rent an exercise video, or you could buy something online. But now you really don't have to. You literally can just put in the kind of music you want, the kind of exercise you want, and do it. And so it's kind of cool. So at night, we'll exercise together. Not every night. I can't do it every night with him. So it's really cool. I'm like, okay. We're pumping it and whining. It's so funny. So, yeah. Just want to encourage you guys to do that as well. Look it up. It's a good, fun way to exercise. So just want to share it. So hopefully I'll start getting some more definition in my arms. I used to have 2 tickets to the gun show. Now it's just arms. Yeah. So that about wraps up our show this week. Hey, don't forget, feel free to email me, especially as we're getting into the summer. You have any topics that you want me to discuss, let me know. It's our show. Anything goes. You can email me, Danella@DanellaNOW.com, and on all social media platforms. You can follow, you can DM at DanellaNOW. As always, I hope you have an incredible weekend, and I will see you next week.